The term AGI is almost useless at this point. I think it is. And I think that sort of harkens back to Sam Altman's tweet. I keep thinking we want the model to be cheaper, faster, more than I want them to be smarter. If Sam Altman is taking that stance, I think AGI based on LLMs is kind of dead, but yeah, we'll see. People often treat the term artificial general intelligence, AGI, as if it meant a single clear thing, but when pressed for a clear definition, their answer, though they may appear superficially similar, tend to differ a lot in the details. Is AGI about matching human performance or exceeding it? Is it about all tasks or just cognitive tasks? And in either case, about most or all of those tasks? Is the important part that AI can perform economically viable work, or that it can learn new things as efficiently as humans? Yeah. If it's learn new things as efficiently as humans, I think they're kind of fucked. Um, they can't do that right now. I think this is also the problem with replacing junior and mid engineers with LLMs is it doesn't learn. You're stuck with an intern that something with the capability of an intern that doesn't improve. It doesn't learn from everything it's done the last 16 months at your company to do things a little bit better or understand that, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. It just tries again. And it does with the same level of expertise of the domain that they're in and the same level of expertise of the system and the company that they're in. And I think that is a big problem. But back to the article, it used to seem possible that in practice the differences between these definitions might not matter all that much. If AI capabilities progressed smoothly, say from mouse to chimp to human level, or from preschooler to high schooler to PhD graduate, then all of the above definitions might be fulfilled at roughly the same time. These days, though, it's clear that AI capabilities are highly jagged. This makes it likely that there could be big gaps between when different definitions of AGI are fulfilled. Yeah, the jagged frontier is just basically that an AI can be very good at something but really bad at something else, and it's not always obvious why it's good at one thing or another thing. To put it another way, many people seem to treat AGI as know it when you see it kind of thing, but we simultaneously have serious people claiming that AGI has been achieved, and others saying it's still a decade or more away. Expecting that we'll know it when we see it is patently not working. And this is the problem, right? It can feel very smart, but it's also very confident, right? If you ask it something, it will give you a very confident answer. And if I'm not an expert in a domain, then I might think that that is really great. Personally, when I ask it to do things that are in sort of the design space or the strategic space, it doesn't perform that well. It doesn't really work for my own domain, but it feels like it's really good at coding, for example. But then if I ask my brother that does a lot of coding, it says that, no, it's not really good at coding, but it can write really well or whatever it is. It can probably be a doctor, and then you go to the doctor and it says like, no, this isn't good enough. So I don't want to just hate on the idea of AGI here. It had a good run and it was more useful in the past. The problem is that AGI is a fuzzy cloud of a concept. It's not one specific point in a concept space, but a spread of many related points. That's a good argument. I mean, it being a good, useful thing in the past makes sense, because if you have a very fuzzy concept, but all of the fuzziness is very far away, then of course it makes more sense. But then when you approach the limit of that and you're getting to a space where, yeah, okay, so this is a thing that I think AGI will be, and this is a thing that I think AGI will achieve. I mean, we're fairly far away from an LLM being able to control a humanoid robot thing and that working, but it can write a poem that feels interesting or somewhat interesting. Fuzzy clouds from a distance versus close up. Okay, so they're probably getting to that. It's not inherently bad for a concept to be fuzzy. Many useful concepts are love, life, justice, freedom. As long as invoking the concepts let you gesture in a direction that your listeners understands, fuzziness doesn't have a big problem. For a long time, this was the situation with AGI. We were far enough away from the fuzzy cloud that the specifics didn't really matter. Back then, the term was coined in the early 2000s. The point of talking about artificial general intelligence was to contrast that with narrow AI systems that existed at the time. Narrow AI refers to models that can each do one specific thing, like recognizing zip codes, detecting credit card frauds, or filtering spam. Back when the AI that we could build in reality was far away from any definition of AGI, it was helpful to be able to gesture in the direction of much more capable general purpose systems that we might one day develop. That's really interesting. A chess computer, you wouldn't say that that is AGI, but it's really fucking good at chess. It's really, really good at chess. So this makes sense. And again, like if it's far away, you can point in the direction and you can say, okay, yeah, AGI is cool. And then you come to and look at the individual points and it's not as clear anymore. But that changed. Today, the best AI systems are good enough that they are now inside the fuzzy concept cloud of AGI-ishness. That is, they have surpassed some people's definition of AGI while failing well short of others. As a result, talking about AGI is no longer a helpful way to gesture in a rough direction. Instead, it's likely to make some people think you mean one thing and others imagine something totally different. Yeah, so it just brings confusion. I love this graph. This graph is really cool. Really nice. Okay. If you ask me, AGI stopped being useful as a term as early as 2022. The original ChatGPT released that November was not human level in most ways, but it was clearly general in some meaningful way that has not been true of AI systems before, the advent of large language models. Rather than ditch AGI in 2022, though, instead we just coined a new term, general purpose artificial intelligence, which is obviously a totally different thing from artificial general intelligence. Sure, but it's still confusing. In 2026, it's time to move on. We have AGI alternatives. In my experience, there are two big use cases for a term like AGI. Predicting a face change. Sure, things are a certain way now, but once we have AGI, things will be a whole lot like another way. Predicting we are not close to the ceiling of AI progress. AI has gotten a lot better over the past years, but there's still a long way to go. Right. And I guess a marketing campaign from a AI lab is somewhere in between. We will have a new reality, and it's not that far, but it is far away, and it will be so much better that we should spend a lot of money building it. If you want to talk about face change, I think the best approach is to be specific as you can about the milestone you think will trigger the face change and why. Here's some opinions. Fully automated AI R&D, which could lead to an intelligence explosion. AI that is as adaptable as humans, which could lead to a massive, irrecoverable job loss. Self-sufficient AI, which would no longer need humans for energy, chips, or anything else, and could therefore dispense with them. AI becoming conscious or otherwise worthy of moral status, which should radically change how we interact with AI. If you want to talk about, these are all like really weird. And I don't think we are near any of these. But it makes sense that these are the new fuzzies that we can point towards, like fully automated AI R&D. I guess fully implies that it's done, but there are probably things where AI can do a lot of the R&D on itself, but maybe not all of it. But obviously, I think we can all agree that we're fairly far away from it becoming self-sufficient or conscious. That seems likely to me. If you want to talk about a high ceiling one, good option is just to describe that AI that's far more capable than what we have today. If you want a single term, the simplest option is superintelligence, which roughly means AI that is far smarter than humans in most or all ways. Like AGI, superintelligence is a fuzzy cloud of a concept, but it's still far enough away from what the AI that we have today that it can be helpful as a direction to gesture in, just like AGI was 20 years ago. Then we have a quote. Bloodless phrases like cognitive tasks and virtually all makes people's eye glaze over, and it's very easy for different people to interpret them as massively in different ways. So for people who think the world is going to be radically transformed by AI, I think it's helpful to talk less about either AGI or superintelligence and instead describe vivid, concrete milestones that you think will happen soon due to increasing capability. The classic of the genre is all humans are dead, but other options include things like civilization's energy output is 10xing every year, or near light speed space probes are on their way to other stars. While I love being pedantic about terminology, I didn't write this post just to gripe. The gaps between different concepts of what AGI even means are starting to damage our ability to think together about how to navigate the transition into a world with extremely advanced AI. A word that lets three people think they're talking about the same thing when one of them means 03 with tool use, another means AI that could run civilization autonomously without humans, and the third means an AI that works exactly like a human brain, consciousness and all, is an actively anti-helpful word. I'm not expecting AGI to vanish from common usage overnight. For one thing, vagueness isn't always a problem. For a term like AGI pilled, it's more a feature than a bug. I think this is a really interesting point. Like, it is very useful for someone that wants to hype up the current systems to be able to talk about AGI, because it's so fuzzy. You don't have to be concrete. You can't be concrete. And then you can just sell the concept of let's buy this together as a society, and then we'll see where we kind of end up. And things like it's better that we do it than them because it's going to be so powerful that we can't risk that. But I think it's very likely that 10 years from now, talking about when we will build AGI or what will happen when we reach AGI will feel outdated and misguided, because it will be clear that AGI was always a fuzzy cloud, not a specific milestone. I hope this post can help us reach that conclusion sooner. So I think this was a really good text from Helen Toner. And thank you so much for looking at this video. If you've come this far, if you could consider subscribing or writing a comment, that would really help me. I love interacting with you guys, and I'm learning so much from that. So if you have a second or two, just give it a like, and I will see you next time.